I'm Laura. Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Great handshakes.
Oh, thank you.
Well, congratulations on season 3.
Thank you.
Well, your character from season 2 went through a lot, and it's
one way to say it, yeah.
Yeah, it's emotional. It's emotional for an actor to portray a character, a survivor. And so this season, they're having you playing a kid addicted to drugs. So how, do you guys kind of discuss what range you wanted to go to? Like, hey, this season maybe it's a bit easier, or like.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, right.
John. No, I don't. Actors, despite the fact that they're what you see when you turn on the TV, are involved in a very, very small part of the process, minuscule actually. So I would have been happy to come back as a security guard. I would have been happy. I would have been fine not coming back. I was so happy. Obviously, I would have preferred to come back, but I was so happy last season. I was so grateful to have had that experience and have it be rounded and finished. Everything extra, I convinced myself was just going to be gravy. So to be asked back at all was very, very meaningful for me. And the character came to me fully formed from John. You'd have to ask him why he thought that I could do that, because there's no evidence to prove it. So I'm very grateful to him and to all the writers for that. And then from there, it's just good writing, because you can do all the research and all the thinking and all the. You can do all the work you want, but if the words aren't there, you don't get anywhere.
Well, last season was an emotional roller coaster where everyone it reflected to what's going on in society with what's going on in schools and unreported crimes, and it kind of reflected okay, this is emotional, and it must have been emotional for you as an actor just to kind of dig into that character. So for this season, did you feel like you had to do a lot of work as well, to really dig into this character?
I think you should always do, no matter whether your character is very emotional or not, I think you have to do a lot. You have to try and do as much work as you can, and you have to try and to build yourself as solid a foundation as you can, in addition to the writing. But in a weird way, so the character's addicted to opioids. So in the time I had, I tried to spend as much of it at AA meetings and NA meetings and talking to people who have been through similar experiences or have been through comparable experiences or know people who have been through comparable experiences. But I actually found this character weirdly, putting all that aside, that he was much lighter than, on my shoulders, much lighter than Taylor was last year. And I don't really know why. It might just be time. Taylor, right out of the gates, was in the worst moment of his life, and that sort of sustained over the course of the season. And Koi's desperation is more diffuse through him. So maybe that's it. I don't know.
Has there been any moments, because it's the show, this kind of show kind of makes you think and pause a little bit. Has there been a moment when you were shooting a scene and you kind of paused because it was just too much?
During the shooting of the scene, I don't think so. There's been scenes where I paused after I read it, or there's been scenes where someone else's performance has made me, after cut, has made me stop. And there's also, of course, been moments in scenes when someone's performance has changed the course of the scene and changed the way that I thought about it mid-scene. And that's what you hope for, when you work with good actors.
Well, you did a great job last season. Have you gotten a lot of response from people, from the community as well, regarding it?
About last season? It's, I think one of the when you shoot something, you're in a bubble, right? And you have to be in a bubble, especially on a show like this where you're dealing with things that are very real for a lot of people. If you think about that every day, you won't sleep. So you have to build yourself a cave. And so when the show was going, I wasn't thinking about it at all, really. And then when the show ended and we'd had some space and it came out, it was, I started getting messages and letters and real letters and a lot of people reaching out and saying that, this is my life, or in many cases, I went through something much worse, or I haven't gone through this, but my sister did or my brother did, and most of this is directed at is for the writers, but it's this idea of it's good that telling more stories and stories of people who telling different types of stories in a public space like this is never a bad thing.
So for this season, with your character who's addicted to opioids, what do you hope that the audience will get from your character and from your story?
Oh, I don't know. I never know how to answer that question. I don't even know what I want to get. I still don't know. I still don't know what's happening. So I don't know. I hope that I hope what I always hope, I guess, which is that I hope that they feel like I'm a real person. And I hope like people who have been through this or people who have been affected by this don't feel like I'm misrepresenting or glossing over something in a significant way. I don't think I could ever get everything right, but I hope that I haven't done anyone wrong. That's all I can hope. And then I hope the show affects people, beyond me. I hope that the show makes people think about things that they haven't thought about in the same way that it's made me think about things I haven't thought about.
Thank you so much. Good job. Thank you so much for this.